Hey everybody, it's me, Zach. This is Potato, and welcome back to our channel. Hey everybody, it's me, and I am back again because Amberlynn finally posted. It's been a while, and also, as you know, I've been experiencing some pain, and so I haven't been pushing myself to post every day. Just because, like, if I can afford to rest, I will rest. Although I still have been doing Twitch streams and things like that. I am feeling a little bit of pain today, which is weird because it just depends on the day is what I'm realizing, is some days are better than others. But I think I'm okay enough to sit here and watch a nearly 20-minute long, what I'm guessing to be Q&A video from our girl Amberlynn. And I'm just guessing that it's a Q&A based off of her title of the video, and also I covered in my last video where I talked about Jamie French's response to Amberlynn. I talked about in that video how Amberlynn had posted like a call for questions on her YouTube channel, and so I'm guessing that this is the answers to those questions. So I'm curious to see what's up, but the title of today's video is called Turning to Alcohol, Diagnosed with BPD, and Saying Goodbye Forever. Goodbye forever sounds like a lot. I don't know what she's saying goodbye to, who she's saying goodbye to. I am happy that maybe she's gonna talk about how much she's been drinking lately, just because she so much was very seriously like not drinking for a good chunk of time. And I do think, I mean, like, obviously I can't diagnose her with anything, and I also, it's not my place to say whether or not she has a problem or not, but I do think there are like some red flags that she went from not drinking at all for a couple years at least. Well, maybe not a couple years, and maybe it was like a year and a half or something like that. But to not drink at all, to like going into this little moment situation type of deal where she's posting about drinking all the time. The diagnosis with BPD is interesting to me for a number of reasons, honestly. One of them being that I, in the past year, started covering a YouTuber called Life Plus Cindy here on YouTube. You might also know her as Pleasant Sims in the past because she was a Sims YouTuber. A big part of Cindy's channel is how she is trying to manage her BPD and dealing with her BPD and things like that. And prior to Cindy, I didn't have a lot of knowledge on BPD. And to be honest, even after watching Cindy, I'm certainly no expert on BPD. I just know about Cindy's experiences in particular with it. What I find interesting also about Amberlynn putting in the title that she got diagnosed with BPD is, like, one, I feel like we haven't heard anything about a therapist, psychiatrist, whoever, whatever in a while. This could be the situation that she was talking about while she was still in Kentucky, where she had to start seeing a new therapist or psychologist or whatever word she was using. She had to see a new one that specialized in something, and I could see maybe this being the case for that. But I'm curious what that looks like here, and I'm also kind of curious, again, I don't know, I'm not a mental health professional by any means, but I am kind of curious, like, how it could potentially be missed when she's talked about being diagnosed with so many other things over time, right? Like, I'm curious how that's suddenly new here, but hopefully she will shed some light on that, and I would love to hear more. So the only other thing I want to say before we get started today is that one of my neighbors is renovating their unit in our building, and I saw inside they're renovating it, like floors torn up and everything. And so there is some occasional banging. I know that there's always like an occasional noise here and there, like whether it's like traffic on the streets or sirens or whatever, and usually people don't have a problem with it. But I'm just letting you know if you hear something, one, that's what it is. And two, really the larger issue is with all of those noises is I get distracted so easily. So if I lose my train of thought because I hear banging somewhere, that's what's up. But anyways, this video is much longer than the video she's been putting out recently. So let's make good use of our time and let's get to, shall we?
Hey guys, welcome to the video. So today we're gonna do like a Q&A type style. I feel like I haven't done just like a straight up Q&A in a very long time.
A Q&A type style? You feel like you haven't done just a straight up Q&A in a while? mean, I think the distinction she's making here is that she hasn't done just a full video dedicated to it. I think that's the distinction she's making. Like, she's trying to say, like, oh, I haven't done just a video that's just straight up me answering questions for 20 minutes. But she's certainly done Q&As in recent history.
There's probably a lot of questions, a lot of things you guys want to know, want me to talk about, clarify, explain, whatever it may be. So it's perfect time to do that. I know I have not really been posting, and honestly, it's because so much is like going on up here that it's hard for me to sit and focus because I've been busy out doing things, and it's just like I went through a very big moment by, you know, moving to a completely different state, living by myself for the first time in my life in this way.
So that's all very interesting. and I wanted to sit and hear what she had to say after she said the part about, like, I'm sure you all have a lot of questions you want clarified, because I'm like, one, my first initial thought was like, do we have a lot of questions we want clarified? And I'm like, no, we do. She just never really actually usually addresses those things. But then two, it comes back to advice that I gave her old friend Rafe, back when Rafe was trying to make a YouTube channel again and wanted to post a Q&A. And my advice to Rafe at the time, well, not that Rafe asked me for advice, but I was just giving general advice. And this is, you can apply this to your life if you're a person who aspires to be a YouTuber as well. But my response and advice is essentially that, like, if you want people to get the chance to know you, which is why Rafe was doing the Q&A, then, like, just vlog and show us the things. And I'm glad that Amberlynn, in this case, went on to talk about how, like, she's being so busy and she's just got a lot going on in her mind and things like that, when, like, a lot of the questions that people probably have could be addressed in vlogs if she just showed us. Because I remember people asking about, like, you know, like, how's she adjusting to being in Oklahoma and things like that. Like, there were questions like that in that post. And she could easily, like, incorporate that into a vlog, right? She could talk about that while she's doing things in a vlog. She could intertwine those things. But, like, for Amberlynn, I think what's probably easiest, obviously, is to just sit down and answer them and ask people to ask questions for the 1200th time on her channel. Around
family that I haven't been around since I was 18 years old. I'm 32 now. I was in a relationship with a person that I thought I was going to be with forever.
Sure.
I literally thought I was going to marry.
Well, that's every relationship you're in.
Things happening, and which are still happening. And it's just like I was filming every single day and uploading every other day. And I think I just got burnt out because it really was just like so much at once, and I was feeling extremely overwhelmed. And I'm kind of...
I also, listen, I support, no matter what your job is, I want to be clear. I support that you take time off. I support it. I don't care how taxing or not taxing other people perceive your job to be. Like, I think we all need time away from time to time, and certainly I have taken time away from YouTube specifically for a variety of reasons. And I also want to say that even when I was working a full-time 9-to-5 office job, that I also took, like, mental health days because I was privileged to have PTO and time away and things like that I could do that with. So I don't want to knock Amberlynn for doing that. But I think at this point in her career as a YouTuber, I find it wild, one, that she gets burnt out doing this, that it's something that is exhausting to her as a concept. And not that you shouldn't or couldn't get burnt out doing it, but it's just like, maybe it's time to look at other options, or maybe one of those options is finding a way to build some boundaries and structure in the work that you do so you don't get burnt out, right? So what I mean by that is, like, for me, for instance, with exceptions here and there, because obviously this weekend I did it, but for me, one of my boundaries so I don't get burnt out is, like, I don't usually post on the weekends. I usually don't. I don't post outside of Monday through Friday because for me, that's simulating a work week for me. It's setting a clear boundary that, like, after Friday, I can log off the internet, just spend time with Noel, just spend time with my friends, spend time with my dogs, whoever, whatever. And I think if she could set up some boundaries like that she'd be in a better place. Like maybe you don't film on the weekends and you still do focus on filming Monday through Friday, and you set up this schedule where you're posting your videos every other day or whatever it is. Maybe that would actually help. I don't know. Just a thing to think about. I'm not suggesting that she quits the YouTubies. I'm just suggesting that there are options to help with some of that burnout. And I think it's because she goes through these, like, moments in time where she's like, I'm going to film every day because I'm currently very super excited about YouTube. Like, that's not sustainable.
Kind of just, like, disappeared. So I do want to say I'm sorry for that.
It's okay.
So
I forgive you.
Posted 3 days ago. Anything you want me to talk about in an upcoming video?
Oh, 3 days ago. So I think she posted that last Friday. So that means that she probably filmed this on Monday. And she did post this on Tuesday. I don't know. Math is hard. Counting is hard.
Tab. So I'm just going to go in order. Obviously, I'm going to skip over things I either A, don't want to talk about, things I feel like
there you
are
go.
Too disrespectful for me. Or like repeat questions, but I'm just gonna start from the top and work my way down. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first question is...
Certainly she's welcome to answer whatever she wants to answer, but I do think she is missing the thing that is so irritating about these Q&As to people, which is her skipping over stuff. Because if she's just going straight down, I don't know how she has the comments sorted. But when they were just sorted by, like, top comment, I don't recall anything being too offensive or, like, rude. But I do think there were a lot of things that were pointed.
Why are you suddenly no longer complaining about any of your multiple health issues that were always causing you to be set back, or your mental health problems that you felt the need to feel to use as a crutch every day, suddenly healed from everything?
Well, I don't...
Before I answer that, I just want to say...
I don't think it's fair to say that she's suddenly healed from everything just because she stopped talking about it, for the record. But I do think that she does bring those things up as excuses to not do certain things, or, like, not film, or whatever it might be.
Say that's really sad that, like, when people are vocal about their, like, mental health or physical stuff, that people say, oh, you're using that as a crutch. When it's like, things are too late, or things have gone too far, or you are too far gone, people are like, oh, you should have spoke up, you should have said something. And it's like, I am very much that person that I do speak up, I do say something. But I've noticed I have taken a lot of steps back in that regard, because I am feeling constantly judged. I am feeling like people think that I do use it as a crutch or an excuse. So I think that's the reason why that I'm not talking about those things anymore, because, like, even in this person's question, they said, like, why are you no longer complaining about these things?
I think her response to that is fair. Like, I think if we do constantly, like, judge her for the way that she talks about it, like, that can be a reason that somebody would not talk about it more. I do see that. I think the reasonable critique here, though, is that she only seems to bring it up when it's convenient to her narrative. And I think the other thing that's difficult about it is that it's, like, constantly changing. I mean, we even discussed with this title of this video that now she's diagnosed with BPD, and this is seemingly coming out of nowhere. And I that's not to say that she doesn't actually have BPD or anything like that, but I think it's hard as an audience member to follow along when she just shares bits and pieces randomly at a time, you know? I think that that's, like, the disconnect, because what she's saying does make sense to me. I do resonate with that. Like, it's hard to share those things when you're being constantly judged for what you are or are not sharing. But also, like, I think that's the thing, is, like, you've started this where you have shared some things and then you go to not sharing it, and people are like, why are you all of a sudden not sharing it? And I guess that's maybe why I'm just like, either share it all, or, like, probably just keep some of those things to yourself if you're concerned about how you do it. But then you have to be consistent in one or the other, because when you are selective about what you do or do not share, I think that's, like, what leads to confusion for a lot of people.
I never feel like I'm coming from a complaining spot. I've always just tried to take pride in like being vocal about my mental health or like things that I'm going through.
Take pride in it?
But overall, the reason why I'm not talking about these things anymore is because I have taken a step back of talking about really personal things. And it's because of the response that I receive when I do that. Because the response that I receive doesn't help me. It actually makes me feel worse.
That's okay. So that really is the thing, though, because she, even at the time, the most recent time of her talking about her mental health diagnoses and things like that, like she had been saying, like, well, I can't share some stuff in regards to, like, relationships that she was in, or in regards to other things, some vague thing that was happening in her life, but she could give us all the details about that. And I think that's what creates these discrepancies for people, is like, we don't have a boundary or expectation for what it is that's like too personal for you to share versus what isn't too personal for you to share. And so at the time, it wasn't too personal for you to share those things, and now all of a sudden it is. Although she's saying that she's taken a step back and sharing some of those things, and again, the title says diagnosed with BPD, so I'm like, are you really taking a step back from sharing those things?
Notice an improvement in your health overall. Yeah, I do notice improvement in my health, and I'm gonna come from like my stamina area type situation, because
okay.
I was actually talking to my mom the other night, and I was like explaining to her like how bad I was in 2019, because she didn't even know the extent of how bad I was, because it was just embarrassing. The only people who knew were the people that I lived with. It's like I was outside, I was actually taking a walk with my mom and with Twinkie, and I was just like, I wouldn't have been able to do this in 2019, like not even remotely close. I am able to go and do things. Science museum is a really good example of that. Whereas in 2019, I couldn't do those things. And
I certainly agree. I don't have anything to add. Like, she definitely wasn't doing stuff like that in 2019. Now, with that being said, we hadn't seen her do stuff like that for the past 2 years that she was with Wifey, but yeah, that is more stamina, more movement, more activity than we were doing in 2019 for sure.
My mom was like, what do you think changed? Like, how do you think that you did that? Like, even though you're still the same size as you were. It's because it takes work. It takes hard.
Is she saying she was the same size she's the same size now as she was in 2019? Because I feel like, hasn't she quoted 2019 as being like her heaviest or whatever? Or are we like, that's where we're at right now?
Work to build your stamina. Like, it was very, very hard, because I still remember in 2019 when I tried to take a shower, like my legs would shake. I would be so out of breath. Like, for even 30 seconds of me standing, I was like, it just felt like I was completely incapable as a person. Sure. It was terrifying. And I remember feeling like I'm never going to change. I remember feeling like this is how my life is always going to be. And I had a really good friend at the time who experienced a lot of like the same things I was experiencing when it came to like my stamina, and like I literally couldn't even stand for 30 seconds. And I remember very well just like constantly talking to her about it and just saying like, is this how it's always going to be? Because
it's also so wild to me, like, I mean, I get why she didn't want to like acknowledge it at the time, but like, back in 2019, if y'all were around, she was not acting like any of this was happening in her life. Like, she was not trying to make it seem like this was the case. So I guess like we really have come a long way since then.
That's what it felt like. I was trapped in a prison. And then slowly but surely over time, I said, no, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna stand for no reason. Like, there were times where I would purposely stand for no reason, just to build those muscles that I had lost. And a really big thing for me that changed was I stopped sitting while cooking. I stopped sitting while doing things where normally I would sit. Like, sometimes I even journal standing up. Like, you don't need to be sitting all the time.
The way we always got to bring journaling into a conversation. The way we always got to bring those fucking journals into a conversation. Work, stand. You know what's so funny to me, though? She's talking about all this standing that she's doing or had started doing when she didn't need to stand. i.e. standing while journaling. But then she fully had that standing desk. She fully had a desk that was designed to encourage behavior like that. And she only ever sat at it. She only ever sat at it. And that's by her own admission. She only ever sat at it. She rarely used it for actual standing. She just used the function to raise the desk so she could crawl under it or walk under it, get to her seat, because she had it like right up against her wall. So that was the only way to sit at the desk. That is what I actually think is actually funny about that whole situation.
Biggest one for me is every time I go to a store, I would tell myself, do not get on the scooter. I think a really big part of that, what made it like easier, was being with Feline, because I felt ashamed and embarrassed. I did not want him to see me like that. So
you didn't feel ashamed and embarrassed to do that in front of Beck? Well, like, I just a serious question. Like, I don't, like, what's the difference? I'm curious, like, why Wifey was different than Beck, or even probably Destiny, honestly.
Not one time while being in a relationship with her did I ever use a scooter. But it's just all those tiny little things. It's just like doing more. Cleaning the house when there's no reason for it. It builds your stamina when you literally had none. I'm not talking about like the average person. I don't think that cleaning is going to help your stamina. Okay. I mean, go for it. But when you
listen, whatever could encourage me to do a little bit more cleaning. I'm looking around this office. This office is so chaotic. What you can't see right now is that like especially like all the various like props I use either on Twitch streams or on the YouTubies. They're just sitting around my desk. I'm just looking at them all. I have like 1,200 hats over here. So maybe I should work on my stamina. Maybe I need to do that.
Bed bound, getting up and doing things that you normally wouldn't and doing them every single day, it makes it to where your stamina just improves.
Work.
So then every single day you're able to do more and more. So now that it's been, 4 years since then? That person in 2019, she doesn't exist. Like, the mentality I had, who I was on YouTube, she doesn't exist anymore. Just the incapability of just living as a human. Because here I am living on my own where I need zero help.
Sure.
Next question is...
That's also what I find, that's what I find so interesting. I'm like, I don't know, is she a different person on YouTube than she was then? I think in a lot of ways, yeah. But in some ways, no. In a lot of ways, I'm like, you're still similar. Like, a lot of the, like, I don't know, behaviors you exhibit on YouTube are the same in a lot of ways. But anyways, I guess that's besides the point. You know what? This is the Amberlynn we have now. Here she is. Take it in.
Are you in pain going out so much? No, I'm not in pain, but like obviously I do have lipedema and lymphedema. So by moving more, I do swell more.
This is nothing against her, but when I worked with college students, one time I had a student that I met with regularly. I was her supervisor, and I kept using the word obviously during her like review, because I had to do like annual reviews of my students where I like provided them feedback on how they were doing their job. I would also give them a chance if they like felt comfortable and giving me feedback. And she was like, well, my biggest issue with you, Zach, is there are a lot of times where you'll be explaining stuff to us as staff members and you'll say, obviously, and then blah, 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 blah. And I always think, wow, no, that's not obvious to me. Like, why is that? And I was like, I never realized how often I said obviously, and I think I still do it today every once in a while, but I really try to catch myself. And I'm just like, obviously to us, the people who watch Amberlynn regularly, we know that she has lymphedema and lipedema, but it might not be obvious to everybody. But I do understand why she used the word, but it just made me think of that. I tell too many stories about myself sometimes. Like, that really had nothing to do with Amberlynn. That was all my own projection.
So that is the part that does suck a lot. That's one thing that my body...
Ooh, what do you know about the part that sucks a lot? Oh, what are you doing? What do you say?
Has Feline ghosted you? Okay, so the answer is no.
Ooh.
But
wait! I'm so curious why somebody would ask if Feline ghosted her, but I'm ready for whatever this answer's about to be.
Really hurt her after we broke up.
Wait, I need to go back. I need to go back and hear the full answer from the beginning without me pausing.
There's no. But I really hurt her after we broke up by falling in love with someone else. I hurt her a lot, and I take...
By falling in love with somebody else? Are we talking about, like, the Instagram love of your life or whatever? Because, one, y'all were broken up. Two, if some flirty Instagram DMs, communication, whoever, whatever, after y'all broke up was enough to hurt Wifey's feelings, then y'all really did have some issues, and it's a good thing y'all were broken up. Cause like, how are you gonna get mad over that? How in love could Amberlynn actually be, first of all? Second of all, y'all were broken up! Oh my god, goofy, y'all were broken up.
Accountability. I obviously just could not control falling in love with someone else.
First of all, stop saying you fell in love. You never met this person, to our knowledge, in real life, and everything was online. And the day after you professed you were in love with this person in a live stream, the very next day you were filming a vlog saying that it was over with that person. So please, please just try to be fucking serious for once. Please.
Very much fell in love. I did. And it just was really hard for her. And it became hard for me, and it became a very big mess. And
y'all were broken up!
Went to show, like, how much she did love me. And I felt horrible, and I tried to fix it, but I kept failing at fixing it.
Y'all
and
were
to where
broken
she doesn't even
up.
want to continue being my friend. So
Wifey is done. I'm just waiting for that Wifey Feline YouTube channel to pop up one day and do the tell-all on Amberlynn, because Amberlynn really was out here making it sound like, you know, they were such great friends still, which this I also feel like is manipulative, that she's only just now saying all of this, because I feel like right up until they were leaving Kentucky, like, she was presenting this like they were besties for life, that they have a deep love for each other, that all of this was mutual. Girl, be serious. This is also why it's so ridiculous. Like, I do think it's possible. There are situations where I think people can continue being friends with their exes or friendly with their exes and have good relationships with their exes. I don't know that I've ever felt like that was possible for Amberlynn. I really don't. And time again, even though she proclaims and shouts to the rooftops that she can remain friends with her exes, it's clear she doesn't have that capability, because who's still her friend? That was her ex. Crystal, maybe? Maybe, question mark, but we don't really know. Be serious, Amberlynn.
I went through, like, a whole separate heartbreak in private. Like, I just feel like I'm...
What do you mean you went through a separate heartbreak in private? You posted at least 3 different videos about your heartbreak. Girl. like breakups are hard, but bestie, you are maybe this is Looney Tunes. This is Looney Tunes. Forget Bambi and Feline. This is Bugs Bunny and fucking Elmer Fudd. Y'all are Looney Tunes.
Reliving the heartbreak just a million times over. We were cordial for a bit after she left. We would text. Then, like, almost daily I would text her, like, I love you, I miss you, because I just felt
Girl,
like
move on.
I needed her to know And I needed her to know that I was sorry.
She was,
her.
According to you, though, she was over it. What? Leave her alone. Leave Wifey alone. I feel like after every single one of these breakups, I'm saying that. Because I do remember a time where I was shouting to the rooftops, leave Beck alone. And, and I think I did it for Destiny once upon a time, too.
I went over with a friend, and they said, I think it's time that you just, like, respect her.
Please.
Stop contacting her. And
Please.
This is going to sound dumb to some people, but I am on day 5 of not contacting her. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, that's so unhealthy. Trust me, I get it. I have mental illness. And
girl, please. Please, if the friend has to, get in there and say, stop communicating with my friend, you know it's bad, girl. And in fact, that makes it sound like there had already been boundaries established by Wifey to be like, please don't contact me. So the fact that Wifey had to ask a friend to intervene and tell you to get the fuck out, girl, this is the thing. Amberlynn wants to talk about how this was the most adult relationship she's ever had. That was her words after the breakup, okay? She's like, this is the most adult relationship I've ever had. Being an adult means respecting boundaries, especially the boundaries of an ex who you broke up with and has asked you to stop communicating with them. Like, please, girl. Please. This is... You are the Looney Tune. You are the Looney Tune. Wifey's over here trying to be Porky Pig and saying, that's all, folks. I'm done. That's all, folks. And Amberlynn is out here still trying to be Bugs Bunny.
And Feline was my very best friend for, like, over 2 years. You know, I thought I was going to marry her. And
well, you thought wrong.
It's just been really, really hard.
You thought wrong.
We are not in contact.
That was honestly the problem. You thought. That was the problem. You thought.
To be respecting her wishes, even if it's really freaking hard. Like, it's been so hard.
Well, yeah, if you care about her as much as you say you do, you should be respecting her wishes.
Wanted to call her, I've wanted to text her, and just these last 5 days, and it's like, I can't. And it's just been...
She lives in a different state.
A other level of torture because I miss her so much. And I just think out of respect for her and for myself and for our relationship, I don't want to talk about her. And I know a lot of people...
And here you are.
I'm going to come on here and say bad things about her. Not going to happen.
I don't think it will because, to be honest, with the previous breakups and especially like the previous stuff that happened this summer with both Destiny and Beck, Amberlynn holds herself at this like holier than thou level where she's like, I care about these people and I would never say anything bad about them. Like, I care about them so much. And what she means is I would never say that until they do it to me. And then she just comes out, because if you remember what happened with Destiny made videos this summer just like talking about her time on YouTube as the girlfriend of Amberlynn Reed and some of the things that happened during that time. Amberlynn didn't like it, and what did Amberlynn do? She said, I swore I would never go this low, but did you know that Destiny and Dana killed a dog? And it's just like, yeah, so Amberlynn doesn't actually have any problem going there until she just has to be like, in her mind, disrespected first so that it's okay to do it. So a lot of this doesn't mean a lot to me, because I feel like if Wifey did come out and make some videos about Amberlynn, like the very next day, Amberlynn would be making videos about Wifey. Know that. Know that for sure. I've watched long enough.
Do you think it's wise to be drinking all the time with all the medications
Good question.
you were on? I actually am not on any medications at all. I can't tell you the last time I took a medication. It's been months since I've been off of like anxiety medicine or for my bipolar. But I actually am taking a break on the whole drinking thing.
Okay, great. It's stunning. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. I also, I do think that question was interesting in the case that it did assume that she was on medicine, because I do remember at some point this summer she said that she stopped taking her anxiety medication, right? Because she had said like, oh, I'm doing so good without it. And so she said that she quit taking it or whatever. So I don't know if she was ever taking any other medications outside of that, but I do think that question, or the person who asked that question, probably just missed that part of her summer, like, story plot line. But I'm curious to hear inside kind of like why she is going to take a break from drinking so much.
Because I felt like I was turning to it. I did go through a phase a couple years ago where I was turning to alcohol. And the last time I drank was on live stream. I was drinking whiskey. It's because I was turning to alcohol because I just felt like I needed something so I didn't have to.
So I'm glad she's saying that. That's good self-awareness. And it's always with self-awareness, what's most important is that, like, you do something with that self-awareness. Like, it's one thing to be aware, which is really important. It's another thing to, like, make changes in your life based on that. And it sounds like, for at least right now, that she's doing it. I do want to say that, like, a lot of people, you know, applied what I was saying about drinking, right? Like, drinking by yourself, drinking at home alone, and things like that in the past to them because they were like, well, I can drink a glass of wine every night by myself. And, like, I do think there's a world where that's, like, totally normal behavior. But in the back of my mind, what I know about Amberlynn is, one, what she just said, which is the reason that she stopped drinking all that time ago was because she felt like she was turning to it to deal with emotions. And two, we've also seen that with her use of Delta 8, right? Like when she's taken Delta 8 gummies, she has said before herself that she was taking them to deal with the pain. So, like, this is a person who has used things like this in the past to deal with, you know, her emotional feelings and not really address them. In addition to other things that I've shared that are concerning to me, which is just that she's talked about having her own food addiction, talking about, like, the addictions of her family members, and a lot of those things can be, like, passed on. And so that's always been my concern, and I'm glad that there's some level of self-awareness here that, like, it's probably not great to turn to it to deal with your problems.
To feel what I was currently feeling. And that's when I told myself, okay, I need to stop drinking because I'm not going to use alcohol as a crutch. I'm not that person. Or at least I thought I wasn't that person. But when I told myself I was going to stop drinking, I was able to do that. I didn't drink for about 1.5 years. And now I'm finding myself going back to that. Like, at first I was like, you know what? Single era, I live by myself, have a couple drinks. There's nothing wrong with that. But then I realized, okay, I like the way this makes me feel. I like that it's taking away certain emotions, heightening other emotions. And it's making me feel good. Then I started doing it more frequently. And I kind of want to just take, like, a little break until I heal a little bit more. Have you finished unpacking? Yes.
So then my things about that are, and, like, obviously the question didn't include this, but, like, I'd be curious to know what she's doing for that healing. Like, are we talking to a therapist? What's that look like? Because I think that's the next logical step for me is, like, if you're saying, like, you need to take a break from doing that stuff until you've been able to heal, I'm just curious what that healing looks like.
Unpacked within, like, 4 days of moving because I was just ready for all the boxes to be gone. I was ready for everything to be homey feeling. So it's been a hot minute since I've been done unpacking. Let's talk about if you'd ever get back with one of your past girlfriends. Oh my gosh. If circumstances were different, I would definitely get back with Feline. Yes, I would.
Well, the problem with the premise of that question is ain't none of these people like her. So, not a single, at least the past 3, it's clear at this point that not a single one of these people like her. Not Destiny, not Beck, and certainly not Feline. And the fact that she had the audacity to share earlier in this video that Feline, like, begged her to stop communicating with her, and she still is out here answering this question, I would love to get back with Feline. Girl, get a grip.
Have you found a new therapist? I actually have not. So this is actually a good question to kind of lead into something else. A little bit of a backstory is, as you guys remember, I had to do 12 sessions of therapy.
I do.
To get weight loss surgery because I was trying to do that. And then I did the 12 sessions and then
I remember it vividly because you told us about every single one. And then you said, oh my God, this has just been so revolutionary, and I absolutely am going to continue therapy after this, and then we never heard about it ever again.
Continued seeing the same therapist, actually psychologist. I liked him a lot, so I stayed. And then remember when I told you guys, okay, well, I have to go to a new psychologist who actually specializes in something different, and I didn't feel comfortable saying what it was. I actually only got to see that psychologist one time because I ended up moving to a completely different state, and I wasn't able to keep the same psychologist, obviously. But I guess
that's also what's so wild about that, because I think I said this at the time when you brought this up, that like it was interesting to me that you were signing up to go to a new therapist when you knew that the move was looming soon. So I don't understand what the point of going once knowing that you're gonna be moving somewhere new when you could have been maybe spending that time like looking up therapists who specialized in whatever that was in your new city, your new home, whatever it might be.
I guess now is the time to say.
Let's say it.
I really did not want to share this. I don't know why, but I think it's something that, like, out of the diagnoses I've got.
Well, I know why you don't want to share it, because at the beginning of this video, you talked about how sharing things about your mental health was private and you didn't like being judged for it, which makes sense. But what doesn't make sense is now we're going to share it. Now we're going to share it even though we had that whole introspection at the beginning of this video about that. This is where I'm like, self-awareness is only important if you actually act upon it. So she's aware that she feels some type of way when people have an opinion on things regarding her mental health, but then she still goes on to keep sharing about it anyways.
My whole life, ever since I was 9, which I was 9 and diagnosed with depression for the first time because, like, I was in foster care, and just no 9-year-old should ever be diagnosed with that. But since then, you know, I've been diagnosed with OCD, I've been diagnosed with PTSD, bipolar, and those things were, like, so much easier for me to accept, and I don't really know why. I was actually diagnosed on my 19th session with my psychologist with borderline personality.
These numbers.
And for some reason, I had a hard time accepting that, and still have a hard time accepting that, because it's obvious. It's obvious that I have borderline personality disorder, and it's something that, like, I always purposely pushed away. Like, people would contact me and be like, you know, you seem like you have BPD, and I just automatically would shut them down and be like, nope. I don't know what it is. I think it's because with everything else, you know, like anxiety, okay? Take some medicine, try some Zoloft, see if that helps.
Her just saying that about anxiety is frustrating to me, because I do think that that's the way that she thinks about dealing with mental health, is like, oh, I just take some medicine for a while and that will help and then I can stop. When even dealing, just I guess like from my own personal experience, like dealing with the generalized anxiety disorder that I have, like I know that it's more than just taking a pill. Like even when I did take medicine for my anxiety, like I had to work on so many other things to help manage my anxiety. I had to learn a lot of skills through therapy and things like that to help manage my anxiety to get me to a good place. And so what I'm hearing is that she one thinks that dealing with anxiety is as simple as just taking a magic pill. But two, what I'm hearing is that the reason that she didn't want to get diagnosed with BPD is that like dealing with it would require her to do a lot of work, which I think based on what I've at least seen from Mike plus Cindy, that is the case, that it's a lot of work to try to manage that. But also like I think that diminishes the fact that, like, people with depression, anxiety, even bipolar disorder, they all also have to do a lot of work. Amberlynn's just never had to do that work with those diagnoses.
Bipolar. Take some mood stabilizer. See if that helps. You know, but with borderline personality disorder, there isn't really a medicine for that. You have to work. And And
this conversation is so irritating to me. So irritating to me because also we don't even really see her taking medicine for those things. Most of the time that we've watched her on YouTube, she has not taken medicine for those things. So it's just so frustrating to me. I just know so many people in the comments who also struggle with those things, with bipolar, with just depression in general, with generalized anxiety disorders. I just already know y'all are resonating that like that is so frustrating to have your disorder like diminished to like, oh, you can just take a pill. You can just take a pill and it'll get better. When, like, she hasn't even done barely that to begin with. And it's frustrating that she's also like, oh, it's just gonna be a lot of hard work. Especially considering that now she knows she has BPD and she's not doing anything to work on it. She's been in Oklahoma for what now? At least a month. At least a month, and you don't have a therapist, you haven't started working on that, and she certainly has the financial means. So she's over here talking about how, oh, it's gonna be a lot of work. Heaven forbid you do some work on yourself. Jesus Christ.
This diagnosis explains literally probably 95% of the reason why I am the way that I am. And I don't know if I want to like talk about it anymore because again... That's also every time she gets a diagnosis, whether it's mental health or it's something physical health related. Like, I remember her saying the exact same thing about her diagnosis with lymphedema and lymphedema. She's like, oh, this just explains so much about like why I can't do the things that I can't do, like why my body works the way it does. I feel so helpful. And then her doctor said, okay, well, now that we know that you have lymphedema and lymphedema, here are some things that you can do to make it better. And she does none of it. She does none of it. Because that's the thing. She loves to have something that'll explain what's wrong with her and then just never do anything with it. Just never do anything with it because heaven forbid she fucking work on herself. I'm sorry, I am fired up about this right now because I've just also like, it's also not even just about me. Like, I just have read so many comments from people in my comments section on social media who talk about like how hard they work on their own mental health and the things and the steps that they take to do it, because mental health is a common theme on my channel. Like, we talk about it a lot. And I know so many people are working so hard on themselves and, like, desperately trying to, like, overcome their mental health challenges every day. And a lot of people who don't even have, like, close to the same resources that Amberlynn has available to her in terms of even just, like, financial resources, right? And so it is infuriating to me that she could help herself and she just clearly doesn't want to do the work. She clearly, based on what she said just in this video, doesn't want to do the work, and I don't know why I'm so surprised by it, because like I said, that's exactly what she did with lymphedema and lymphedema. She was given a diet to follow, told things to avoid doing, and she disregarded it all, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's hard for me to accept. I don't know why. It's that one thing where I kept telling myself, this can't be real, this can't be true, and it is.
Okay.
And now it's just something else that I have to put in work, and it's just maybe I feel like it's a bit unfair.
Well, what the fuck else are you doing with your time? You've got nothing but time. It's just also crazy because I've also gotten like other health related news that I haven't shared yet because I'm waiting to know like full details about everything. But the second I've known about health related things and things going on with my body, I guess what I'm saying is I don't understand her mentality, because my mentality, my response is, and maybe this is not how everybody would respond, but I'm just explaining why it's hard for me to understand where she's coming from, because my mentality is I want to do everything I can to make my body healthy. Like, I want to do everything I can to extend my life. I love my life. I love my partner. I love my dogs. I'm so grateful for all the friends I have, for everything that this body has afforded me to this date. And so it's just like wild to hear her be like, oh, it's just another thing I have to work on. Which, I don't know, to that extent, I guess like if it feels like it's like a pile-on of things, like a pile-on of an additional diagnosis, like I do get that. I think that could probably be frustrating. I think that probably could get tiring, just hearing another thing that's wrong with you. That resonates with me to some extent. But what doesn't resonate with me is just her clear not wanting to do anything about it because it's too much work.
I have to remind myself, life isn't fair, you know? People are dealt their cards, and it's kind of like how you play them. That's
exactly
the motto that I need to live by currently. It's like...
Exactly, so let's start playing them. Let's start playing those cards. Because you have the resources to get a royal flush, but you're sitting over here with a two of a kind and thinking that that's gonna win you the game of life, and it's not. You have the resources to get to the royal flush, let's do it. You want to use metaphors? I'll use some metaphors. You want to talk about card games? Let's talk about it.
Okay, my cards were dealt. Now let's play them, in a way that's just gonna make your life more positive.
Sure.
Next question is, give us the tea on the guy who ghosted you. There's like a rumor that a guy ghosted me. I'm just gonna say right now that
who ghosted
rumor's
you?
Not real. I don't know where that came from. Any changes?
Or is she saying, oh, I guess actually that's probably where that original Wifey question came from. That's probably what the Wifey question was about, because remember she was ghosted. She said in a video she was ghosted, or not in a video, she said on her Instagram live stream, not live stream even, and her Instagram stories that somebody ghosted her. So that's probably why people asked if it was Wifey. And now there was people talking about how she was ghosted by a man or something. I don't know where that came from either, to be honest, but here we are.
Okay, I've had a lot of people ask if I will be doing Vlogmas this year, and honestly, I don't know.
Oh.
Because my last Vlogmas was my favorite Vlogmas of all time. Because I remember how I felt during it. Not a lot of people have to enjoy it. It's fine. I mean, if you enjoyed it, thank you so much.
Listen,
But it's like...
we better get a Vlogmas. We better get a Vlogmas, girly pop. I've been waiting since last year. It was so good.
And a lot of my memories come from, like, how did that make me feel? I remember how people make me feel, how situations make me feel, above anything else. And I remember Vlogmas making me
She's
happy.
so quirky for saying that.
I felt happy. I felt at home. I felt content. I was sad for it to end. It's because of the things I was doing in Vlogmas.
I do remember her saying that she was sad for it to end, and I was like, girl, you can keep uploading if you want. like you can keep doing this. It's a made-up challenge, a made-up thing for the YouTubies. You could keep going.
I just said I wasn't going to talk about Feline much, but she is a very large portion of the reason why I enjoyed Vlogmas so much. I feel like we had a very good time, and so now when I think of Vlogmas... you know what? Single era, I think you could be in a better place if you really, like, focused on being single and being yourself and, like, working on yourself while you're single. But if we had to keep listening to you talk about Wifey for months on end, I honestly think it might be better to just move on. Let's find a new girly. Let's do it. I think of her. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna manage. So,
you did like 6-7 other Vlogmases without Wifey. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine.
For right now, I do not know. I love Vlogmas, but do I love it enough to every day be super sad over it? I don't know. The next question is, you should explain your TikToks. Oh my god, my TikToks. A lot of people think that they have like hidden meaning. They don't. I just really enjoy dancing, lip syncing. Some people call them thirst traps. Definitely not. I'm just kind of, for the lack of a better term, I'm just feeling myself. I don't know. I just enjoy being that. And by that, I don't really know what that means. I just enjoy that. So if you
Wrap
go
it
to my
up,
TikTok,
Amberlynn.
you see,
How many?
you know what I mean?
How many more minutes do we have? How are there still 3 minutes of this video?
Enjoy that Amberlynn. That Amberlynn to me. What is the best part of living in Oklahoma besides being closer to family, and what's been the worst part of living in Oklahoma? So the best part is the fact that I actually love it here. I don't know why, but when I lived here when I was 18, it was just for like 6 months or something. I hated it. I don't know if it was like where I was living. I didn't really go anywhere. Now I go a lot of different places, but I just love it. Like, people here are so nice, and I don't know what it is. Like, the energy feels good to me. Worst part has been obviously my random waves of loneliness, for sure. Like, no matter how much family's around you, whatever it may be, sometimes moving to a new place with new surroundings where you have to create a new routine, especially without someone that you love, it does
Not the
create a
wifey.
sense of loneliness.
Not the wifey throwback.
And I know that obviously another worst thing is going to be tornadoes in the damn summer, ice and snow in the winter. Not looking forward to that. Next question.
I'm just also like, what are we doing to, work on the loneliness is I guess my only follow-up to that, because if your mom and your family isn't, fulfilling that loneliness feeling, like, how are we building other connections outside of that? I do appreciate that she's reconnecting with her mom. I think that that's great. It seems like it's, as of right now, working out well for her. But, like, what are we doing to build stuff outside of that? That's, like, also why I was always, concerned in almost all of her previous relationships, because all of her relationships were so focused on just the person that she was dating and whoever that person's friends were. Like, it very rarely felt like she had her own group of friends outside of that, although I think towards the end of her relationship with Feline, she tried to imply that she had people outside of that, but the same could be said about her family. It is good to have, people outside of the same 2 or 3 people. It's good to have a large network of people that you can turn to if you need them.
Are you going to start uploading on a schedule again soon? I don't know. I feel like starting a schedule is only going to make me fail. And
I agree.
I've done too much failing.
Agree.
Several areas of my life.
Agree.
So maybe it's best I don't have a schedule right
Agree.
now. How old were you when you graduated high school? I was 18. Okay, so we're going to end there. I feel like this video is super long.
Well, not really for you.
Enjoy it. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, that was that. I'm going to have some editing to do because not every one of those questions necessarily needs to be in the video. But between like the wifey stuff and then her talking about this new diagnosis and her seemingly not wanting to work on it, I'm so irritated. I'm so irritated because, one, how are you not taking a hint that wifey's over you? And why are you still talking about her? And 2, why don't you want to do any work? Nobody wants to fucking work anymore. It was like Kim Kardashian. I think that was Kim Kardashian that said that. Anyways, y'all, wow, what a wild ride today. Thanks so much for watching. That's all I have time for today. If you're brand new to my channel, make sure to subscribe down below. Hit the bell button so you get a notification every single time I post a new video. Make sure to leave me a comment, hit like, click share, and follow me on all my social media. I love you all so much, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!